Hello and welcome to Intellify. I am Gurleen Kaur and today we will be doing the chapter Lost Spring, NCERT Solutions and Extra Questions. Questions from textbook. Think as you read. Question 1. What is Sahib looking for in the garbage dumps? Where is he? Where has he come from? Answer. Sahib is looking for gold in the garbage dumps. He is in the neighborhood of the author. Sahib has come from Bangladesh. He came with his mother in 1971. His house was set amidst the green fields of Dhaka. Storms swept away their fields and homes, so they left the country. So Sahib, who is now living in Simapuri in the periphery of Delhi, who picks rag, came from the Dhaka in 1971 because there was no livelihood there. Question 2. What explanations does the author offer for the children not wearing footwear? Answer. One explanation offered by the author is that it is a tradition to stay barefoot. It is not lack of money. He wonders if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. He also remembers the story of a poor boy who prayed to the goddess for a pair of shoes. So the author says that maybe it is a tradition that all the children in the slum do not wear footwears or chappals because to show how poor they are. Question 3. Is Sahib happy working at the tea stall? Explain. No, Sahib is not happy working at the tea stall. He is no longer his own master. His face has lost the carefree look. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly over his shoulder. The bag was his. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. So earlier Sahib used to do rag picking and he was not bound to any other person, but now as he is working at a tea stall, he has lost his carefree look and he has the burden to sell the and carry the heavy canister. Question 4. What makes the city of Firozabad famous? Answer. The city of Firozabad is famous for its bangles. Every other family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. It is the center of India's glass blowing industry. Families have spent generations working around furnaces, welding glass, making bangles for the women in land. So, Firozabad is famous for its bangle and all the families there, all the houses there are involved in bangle making. Question 5. Mention the hazards of working in the glass bangles industry. Answer. Boys and girls with their fathers and mothers sit in dark hutments next to the lines of flames of flickering oil lamps. They weld pieces of colored glass into circles of bangles. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. They often end up losing eyesight before they become adults. Even the dust from polishing the glass of bangles is injurious to eyes. Many workers have become blind. The furnaces have very high temperature and therefore very dangerous. So, the hazards of working in the bangles industry is that they work in dark and dingy cells, therefore they lose their eyesight. And the young children who are working there are more prone to losing their eyesight. Question 6. How is Mukesh's attitude to his situation different from that of his family? Answer. Mukesh's grandmother thinks that the God-given lineage can never be broken. Her son and grandsons are born in the caste of bangle makers. They have seen nothing but bangles. Mukesh's father has taught them what he knows, the art of making bangles. But Mukesh wants to be a motor mechanic. He will go to a garage and learn, though the garage is far from his home. So, Mukesh has a different attitude. He does not consider that The lineage should be continued of bangle making. So he wants to be a motor mechanic. This is how Mukesh's attitude is different from that of others of his community. Understanding the text. Question 1. What could be some of the reasons for the migration of people from villages to city? Answer. People migrate from villages to cities in search of livelihood. Their fields fail to provide them means of survival. Cities provide them employment, jobs, or other means of getting food. The problem in the case of the poor is to feed the hungry members. Survival is of primary concern. So, cities attract more people as it provides employment, like working at a tea stall or the means of livelihood. So, people leave their villages and come to cities. Question 2. Would you agree that promises made to the poor children are rarely kept? Why do you think this happens in the incidents narrated in the text? Answer. The promises made to the poor are rarely kept. The author asks Sahib, half joking, whether he will come to her school if she starts one. Sahib agrees to do so. A few days later, he asks if the school is ready. The writer feels embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant. Promises like hers abound in every corner of their bleak world. So, the promise which the author made to Sahib was never meant to be fulfilled, and promises like her abound in every corner of our bleak world. Question 3. What forces conspire to keep the workers in bangle industry of Firozabad in poverty? Answer. Certain forces conspire to keep the workers in bangle industry of Firozabad in poverty. These include the moneylenders, the middlemen, the policemen, the keepers of law, the bureaucrats, and the politicians. Together they impose a heavy burden on the child. So, the moneylenders, middlemen, and policemen and the keepers of law like bureaucrats, they never let these children come out of the tradition of bangle making, as the laws which are made on child abuse are never implemented in these areas. Talking about the text. Question 1. How, in your opinion, can Mukesh realize his dream? Answer. Mukesh is the son of a poor bangle maker of Firozabad. Most of the young men of Firozabad have no initiative or ability to dream, but Mukesh is an exception. He has the capacity to take courage and break from the traditional family occupation. He has strong willpower also. He does not want to be a pawn in the hands of the middlemen or moneylenders. He insists on being his own master by becoming a motor mechanic. So we know that Mukesh has dreamt of becoming a motor mechanic and breaking from the traditional family occupations of bangle making. So here he is trying to break his family lineage. He can realize his dream by joining a garage and learn the job of repairing cars and driving them. He will have to overcome many hurdles before he succeeds. Then comes transport problem. Money is the first one. He will have to earn some money himself. The garage is a long way from his home. He will have to cover it twice every day anyhow by walking on foot. Patience, hard work, firm will, and the determination to learn will help him realize his dream. Question 2. Mention the hazards of working in the glass bangles industry. Answer. The glass bangles industry has many health hazards. It usually employs small children. It is illegal to employ very young children in hazardous industries, but certain forces like middlemen, moneylenders, police, and politicians combine to entrap the poor workers. Let us first consider the places where bangle makers work. It is a cottage industry. They work in the glass furnaces with high temperature. The dingy cells are without air and light. Boys and girls work hard during day next to lines of flames of flickering oil lamps. They weld pieces of colored glass into circles of bangles. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. That is why they often end up losing their eyesight before they become adults. Glass blowing, welding, and soldering pieces of glass are all health hazards. Even the dust from polishing the glass of bangles adversely affects the eyes, and even adults go blind. Thus, the surroundings, prevailing conditions, and the type of job involved all prove risky to the health of the workers. So, the conditions in which these young boys and girls are working are hazardous to health, as they may lose their eyesight before they become adults. Question 3. Why should child labor be eliminated and how? Answer. Child labor should be eliminated because the children employed at tender age as domestic servants, dishwashers, at roadside dhabas, and in hazardous industries making glass bangles, beedies, crackers, etc., lose the charm of the spring of their life. Their childhood is stolen. Burdened by the responsibility of work, they become adults too soon. Most of them are undernourished, ill-fed, uneducated, and poor. They have a stunted growth. Child labor can be eliminated only through concerted efforts on the part of government agencies, NGOs, non-government organizations, cooperative societies, and political leaders. Mere passing of law will not help. Laws should be enacted faithfully. The children thrown out of work should be rehabilitated and given proper food, clothes, education, and pocket money. Their feelings, thoughts, and emotions should be respected. Let them enjoy sunshine and fresh air. So, mere just passing the law against child labor will not help. It is important that we should rehabilitate these children and provide them with food, as these children are undernourished and they have a stunted growth. So it is also important to provide them elementary education and food, along with banning the child labor. Short answer type questions. Question 1. What is the meaning of Sahib's full name? Does he know it? How does he conduct himself? Answer. His full name is Sahib-e-Alam. It means the Lord of the universe. He does not know it. If he knew it, he would hardly believe it. He roams the street barefoot with other ragpickers. This army of barefoot boys appears in the morning and disappears at noon. So, his full name is Sahib-e-Alam, meaning the Lord of universe. Now, this is the contrast and irony, that his name means the Lord of universe, but he is doing the job of a rag picker. Question 2. But promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. What promise does the author recall? In what context was it made? Was it fulfilled? Answer. The author asked Sahib about going to school. Sahib explained that there was no school in his neighborhood. He promised to go to school when they built one. Half joking, the author asked whether he would come in case she started one. Sahib smiled broadly and agreed to come. After a few days, he ran up to the author and asked if the school was ready. The author felt embarrassed. She had made a promise that was not meant. So the promise made by author was to open her own school and to invite Sahib in that school. So which was not fulfilled, as the author was not meant to build a school. He just half jokingly asked Sahib to come and join his school if he builds one. Question 3. How does the author focus on the perpetual state of poverty of the children not wearing footwear? Answer. The author notices that most of the young children engaged in rag picking are not wearing footwear. Some of them do not have chappals. Others want to wear shoes. Some say it is tradition to stay barefoot. To the author, it seems lack of money. Poverty forces them to walk without footwear. Question 4. Who is Mukesh? What is his dream? Why does it look like a mirage amidst the dust? Answer. Mukesh is the son of a poor bangle maker of Firozabad, where every other family is engaged in making bangles. So the tradition of Firozabad is to make bangles. His poor father has failed to renovate his house or send his two sons to school. Mukesh insists on being his own master. His dream is to be a motor mechanic. He wants to drive a car given the conditions of existence. His dreams look like a mirage amidst the dust. So the family is so poor that they cannot even afford one full meal, and Mukesh is dreaming of becoming a motor mechanic, and for this he requires training in repairing motor, which he cannot afford as the family is very poor and he belongs to a lineage of bangle makers. Question 5. What contrast do you notice between the colors of the bangles and the atmosphere of the place where these bangles are made? Answer. The bangles are of every color, boom out of the 7 colors of the rainbow. These are sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink and purple. Boys and girls work in dark hut mints next to the flickering flames of oil lamps around furnaces, blowing glass, welding and soldering it to make bangles. So the contrast is that there are bangles of every color, every bright color of the rainbow. But the place where they are made is very dark. They are made in a dark hut mint. So this is the contrast between the colors. Question 6. Give a thumbnail sketch of the frail young woman in the chapter Lost Spring. Answer. The young woman is the wife of Mukesh's elder brother. Her eyes are filled with the smoke of firewood. Though not much older in years, she commands respect as the daughter-in-law of the house. She adheres to customs and traditions. She veils her face before male elders. She gently withdraws behind the broken wall to do so. So, the frail young woman is the daughter-in-law of the house, and she also adheres to the customs and traditions of bangle making. So she also makes bangle when she got married into the family of bangle makers. She also started making bangles. Question 7. Savita is a symbol of innocence and efficiency. Comment. Answer. Savita is a young girl. She has put on drab pink dress. She is soldering pieces of glass. Her hands move mechanically like the tongs of a machine. She is innocent as she is ignorant about the sanctity of the bangles she helps to make. So, Savita is a young girl who makes bangles like a machine. She works so efficiently in making bangles and her hands are moving mechanically. But she does not know about the sanctity of the bangles as she is too young to realize it. Question 8. What do bangles symbolize? When, according to the author, will Savita know the sanctity of the bangles she helps make? How is the Indian bride dressed? Answer. Bangles symbolize auspiciousness in the marriage of an Indian woman. Savita will come to know the sanctity of the bangles when she becomes a bride. The head of a bride is draped with a red veil. Her hands are dyed with red henna. Red bangles are rolled on to her wrist. So, the importance of bangles is that every bride wears bangles. Question 9. She still has bangles on her wrist. but no light in her eyes. What exactly does the author want to convey through this? Answer: she is an elderly woman who became a bride long ago. Since her husband, an old man with a flowing beard, is still alive, she still has bangles on her wrist. She has, however, not enjoyed even one full meal in her entire lifetime, so there is no light in her eyes. This is just a comment on the abject poverty and helplessness of the bangle makers. So, because she has never enjoyed one full meal, her eyes have lost the charm and she is undernourished. Question 10. What do you think is the theme of Lost Spring? Stories of Stolen Childhood. Answer: the theme of the chapter is grinding poverty and the traditions which condemn poor children to a life of exploitation. The two stories taken together depict the street children forced into labor early in life and denied the opportunity of schooling. The callousness of the society and the political class only adds to the suffering of these poor people. So there are two stories in the chapter, one of Sahib who lives in Simapuri and the other is of Mukesh who lives in Firozabad. Now we see that both the places are in the periphery of Delhi, the capital of our country, but still these young children are deprived of their opportunities of getting educated and are forced into child labor, and development of these areas are ignored by the political class people, and these areas are only used as their vote banks. Long answer type question. Question 1. Firozabad presents a strange paradox. Contrast the beauty of the glass bangles of Firozabad with the misery of the people who produce them. Answer: Firozabad, the center of India's glass blowing industry, is famous for its bangles. Spirals of bangles of various colors can be seen lying in mounds in yards or piled on the four-wheeled pushcarts. These bangles have shining bright colors: sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, in fact every color boom out of the 7 colors of the rainbow. So the bangles have every color boom out of the rainbow. But the bangle makers led a miserable life. They know no other work than bangle making. They have neither courage nor money to start any other trade or job. They have spent generations in the clutches of middlemen and moneylenders. Extreme poverty forces them to remain hungry and yet work all day long. So they work all day and make bangles all day in the dark hutments. Still they cannot afford a single full meal in a day. The elderly woman who works with Savita has not enjoyed even one full meal in her entire lifetime. Her husband has made a house for the family to live in. He has achieved what many have failed in their lifetime. So even making a house is a achievement for them. Mukesh's father has failed to renovate a house or send his two sons to school. Young boys are as tired as their fathers. Their work at hot furnaces make them blind prematurely. Question 2. The cry of not having money to do anything except carry on the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat, rings in every home. The young men echo the lament of their elders. Little has moved with time, it seems, in Firozabad. Comment on the hardships of the bangle makers of Firozabad, with special emphasis on the forces that conspire against them and obstruct their progress. So here you have to tell the obstructions faced by the people in Firozabad to break their lineage of bangle making. Answer: the bangle makers of Firozabad are born in poverty, live in poverty, and die in poverty. For generations, these people have been engaged in this trade. working around hot furnaces with high temperature, welding and soldering glass to make bangles in spite of hard labor throughout the day. The return is meager. Some of them have to sleep with empty, aching stomachs. Others do not have enough to eat. Whatever they do get is not delicious or nourishing. So, even working for hours, they don't get enough to eat and they live in poverty. The stinking lanes of their sandy town are choked with garbage. Their hovels have crumbling walls, wobbly doors, and no windows. These are overcrowded with humans and animals. Poverty and hunger, social customs and traditions, stigma of caste, and the intrigues of powerful lobby that thrives on their labor combine to keep them poor, uneducated, and hungry. The moneylenders, the middlemen, the policemen, the keepers of law, the bureaucrats, and the politicians all are ranged against them. Children are engaged in illegal and hazardous work. Years of mind numbing toil have killed all initiative and ability to dream. They are unable to organize themselves into cooperative due to lack of a leader and fear of ill treatment at the hands of the police. They seem to carry the burden that they can't put down. They can talk but not act to improve their lot. So the customs continues and they cannot overcome the stigma of caste, that they are born into the caste of bangle makers. Question 3, Part 1. Survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Part 2. Garbage to them is gold. Part 3. For the children, garbage is wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it is a means of survival. In the light of the above remarks, write an account of the life and activities of the rag pickers settled in Simapuri, or give a brief account of the life and activities of the Bangladeshi squatters like Sahib-e-Alam settled in Simapuri. Answer: Simapuri is a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. Squatters who came from Bangladesh way back in 1971 live here. Sahib's family is one of them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. It still is, but it is no longer empty. Nearly 10,000 rag pickers live there in structures of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin. These shanties are devoid of sewage, drainage, or running water. These people have lived there for more than 30 years without any identity or permit. They have got ration cards that enable them to buy grains, and they get their names on voters' list. For them, food is more important for survival than an identity. The women put on tattered saris. They left their fields as they gave them no grain. They pitch their tents whenever they find food. Rag picking is the sole means of their survival. It has acquired the proportions of a fine art for them. Garbage to them is gold. It provides them their daily bread and a roof over the heads. Most of the barefoot rag pickers roam the streets early in the morning and finish their activities by noon. They seem to carry the plastic bag lightly over their shoulders. They are clothed in discolored shirts and shorts and denied the opportunity of schooling. So, Sahib's family came to Simapuri in 1971 from Bangladesh, and the Simapuri has not changed in all those years. It still is underdeveloped with no water or sewage system. They have no identity and the place is overcrowded with many people. They only have their names on voters' list. So, political parties are exploiting these people in the name of vote and not giving them an identity or developing the area. Value-based questions. Question 1. Hunger knows no friend but its feeder. The downtrodden led a miserable life. Elucidate the dictum keeping in mind the following lines. Survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Through the years, it has acquired the proportions of a fine art. Garbage to them is gold. It is their daily bread, a roof over their heads. Answer. Poverty a vicious circle. It is a well-known saying that poverty is the root cause of all evils. Corruption, loot, begging, and incidents of theft are the offsprings of abject poverty. The destitute lead a pitiable and miserable life. They do not get sufficient food. Lack of funds constrain them to take recourse to illegal activities. Slum dwellers always feel themselves dejected. So, these people who are living in slums always feel dejected and their area is never developed. Due to the abject poverty, they choose illegal activities like robbery and they lead a pitiable and miserable life as they cannot afford even one full meal in a day. They recognize only those beings who help them and feed them. Political leaders take undue advantage of their poverty. They are misused to win elections. So they are people who are only used as vote banks by the political leaders. Humanity, mankind, honesty, trust, and love become significant when an individual succeeds in satisfying in hunger. Hungry people need only food. There is a dearth of people who are capable of converting obstacles into opportunities. These poor people are exploited ruthlessly by industrialists, politicians, and other middlemen. So here you can also refer to the story of Mukesh, who belongs to the lineage caste of bangle makers. And many other boys like him cannot even dream of doing something else rather than bangle making. But he has taken the courage to turn the obstacle into opportunity. They scrounge for gold in the garbage. Now we are talking about Sahib, who has come from Bangladesh. They scrounge for gold in the garbage dumps to earn their livelihood. The hiatus between the rich and the poor seems difficult to be bridged. So the gap is so much wider, so much bigger that it is difficult to bridge. It is increasing day by day and it is still increasing. The poor are becoming poorer and the rich richer. There is no human being who would like to work for their welfare. Their plight is pitiable and horrible. The residential areas of these people are packed with filth. They become habitual to foul smell. Poverty is a vicious circle. It never comes to an end. The unemployed youth are heading towards destruction. They do not remember anything except the help they receive from the. So during the election time, these political parties invest in these areas to use these people as their vote banks, and these people accept their help and are exploited by these people. Question 2. Child abuse is a very serious problem in our country. Children are forced by circumstances to work in various factories. Write an article on the topic child abuse. Take ideas from the following lines. None of them knows that it is illegal for children like him to work in the glass furnaces with high temperature, in dingy cells without air and light, that the law, if enforced, could get him and all those 20,000 children out of the hot furnaces where they slog their daylight hours, often losing the brightness of their eyes. Answer. Child abuse. Child abuse is a grave problem in India. Many children work for dhabas, factories, and tea stall owners. They are those unfortunate children of this country who don't get even meals 3 times a day. It is a blemish on our nation. It is the duty of the governments to make arrangements of education for these children. Child labor is common in the fields of agriculture, domestic service, sex industry, carpet and textile industries, quarrying, bangle making, and brick making. These children are forced to work in horrible conditions. There are no set working hours for these children, and they are given low wages. So these children do not know that child labor is illegal, and they continue to work and are exploited. They are given low wages and they do not have a set working hours. In some cases, poverty of the household and low level of parental education are also responsible for child labor. Employing children in factories implies that the nation's future is in dark. These children never feel happy. So, because they started working at an early age, they lost the spring of their childhood. They become devoid of human emotions. They adopt illegal ways to earn their bread and butter. And when they become able-bodied, it gives rise to violence and corruption. Child labor should be stopped, and the governments should educate these children free of cost. At least elementary level education should be given to all children. Thank you.